Okay, so I like to apply a top coat before I do any of my cleanup. That's just personal preference. But I that's just personal preference. You don't have to do it that way. But the two top coats that I recommend are my number one is Sèche Vite. A lot of people don't like this top coat because it has a really strong odor and it has the tendency to get a little gloopy. But I have the special thinner for this, so I really don't have an issue. This is absolutely my favorite top coat. It dries really quickly to the touch. In about a minute it's almost fully dry, and it ends up drying like a mirror on top. It's really glossy. And so if you don't like how strong Sèche Vite smells, I would recommend Out the Door. You can find this at Sally's Beauty Supply. I'm sure you can also find it on Amazon. I purchased the big bottle because it was just cheaper to buy the big bottle, but this also dries really quickly, and it also has a glossy finish, but it doesn't last as long as Sèche Vite, and it's not as thick of a top coat. So this won't really work for like very glittery polishes. So the first thing you want to do when applying your top coat is over a stamping design is you want to glide your top coat over the design. And what I mean by that is you're going to take your polish and you're going to have just enough of it where there is like a little ball of polish on the tip, and you're going to place the brush on your nail and then glide over the design ever so gently. I don't know if you guys can see that. But normally you just want to do it in one swipe so that way it won't distort the image. Because if you take the polish and say you don't have that much top coat on your brush, so there's not like a little ball dangling at the end, and you try and go over it like multiple times, like pressing down on it like this, it can drag the image. You see that? It'll drag and distort your image, and you have polish on your brush. And I'll go ahead and use Out the Door just to show you that both of these polishes both of these polishes are nice for stamping because they don't pull on the images. So again, placing the dot of top coat and then just pulling that dot of top coat over the nail, gliding it over the nail, and then capping the end. Okay, so once your top coat has fully dried, you can remove the latex barrier by either rubbing it until it lifts from your finger, or you can go in with a pair of tweezers and you are just going to sit there and it should come off all in one piece. And you see how this has the polish on it? That's why I like to use the latex barrier, because when you remove it, it'll take off most of the polish from your finger. So again, you can either do this with tweezers or you can do this with your fingers and just remove it all in one piece. Yeah. And now most of these nails, you only have a little bit of cleanup left to do. So you can see with this one right here, I just have a little bit of cleanup left to do around my cuticle area. But my thumb, I have all of this cleanup to do, and I'll show you how messy it gets with the cleanup. The tool I like to use to clean up when I don't have much to clean up, so just around my cuticle area, is the e.l.f. concealer brush. So it's this little teeny tiny brush. You're going to take your brush and you're going to dip it into essence. Let me zoom you in a little bit more here. So you're going to take your brush and you're going to dip it into acetone. And you're going to go in with your brush and clean up those edges. So see how tiny this brush is? You can go in and clean up the edges. It's such a tiny brush that you can really get in around the cuticles and clean up anything off the edges. And you can just wipe your brush on like a little cotton pad and dip it back into acetone. And I really don't think I need much cleanup anywhere else. Everything really looks good. So sometimes you'll have cleanup, sometimes you won't. But now let me show you what it's going to take to remove this. So normally when you have this, this much cleanup, you can either go in with a cotton pad and just remove the excess. I like to use these because they have a plastic backing, so you won't mess up the manicure on your other hand if you with the acetone with this. So that's why I like to use these cotton pads. Or you can go in with a Q-tip soaked in acetone. Or you can go in with a bigger brush like this one. Either way you choose, just make sure it's a bigger surface. I wouldn't go in with the e.l.f. brush right away. So after you've cleaned up the majority, which, you know, there's after you've cleaned up the majority of the polish, you can now go in with that smaller e.l.f. brush and clean up around the cuticle area. But you see how much work that was in comparison to my other fingers. So again, the latex barrier really does help a lot with cleanup. You can still get it done, but it really does help a lot. And my favorite tool, again, to use is the e.l.f. concealer brush. This brush is only $1. I use it for all of my cleanups. I have, you know,